thousands of passengers will be impacted for days as the South African Airways strike goes ahead. Unions, including Numsa, have served the airline with a strike notice over restructuring plans that could see more than 900 jobs cut. SAA says a senior commissioner has been appointed by the CCMA to facilitate mediation between the national carrier and the unions. For more on this ongoing strike, our reporter Sipha Kema joins us from the SAA Airways Park in Kempton Park. Sipha, a very good morning to you. I can see a lot of action behind you, placards and people dressed in their union T-shirts. What are the latest developments there?
Well, now that we're back at the South African Airways Park, you can see that Zibayoni Mugambi from South African Cabin Crew Association, and I've got Paramili Khubi Machola from Numsa. As you know, inside we saw that how much of an impact this strike has had on passengers. I mean, there was a passenger coming from Brazil who was not aware of the strike as he was on his flight from Brazil to South Africa, getting a connecting flight to Gaborone, and he had to be there in 2 hours. But unfortunately for him, all planes are grounded leaving the country. He's stuck in South Africa until further notice. But let's ask now the unions. Let's start with Pagamile and ask about the unions. Now, we spoke to South African Airways, saying that a senior commissioner was appointed now to start the mediation process between the unions. What does Numsa have to say about that?
Well, we do welcome the intervention from the CCMA. Obviously, we do want to find one another. We want to find and resolve this dispute that we find ourselves in. And we will be meeting with the mediator tomorrow for talks. And we really hope that we will be able, that particularly the management of SAA will engage us on the reasonable demand that we've made in relation to insourcing. Because, you know, ultimately that's a sticking point for us. The wages we can negotiate, certainly. But the one issue that broke down talks yesterday was their refusal to commit to insourcing. And for us, it's pointless to agree on wages, and yet they don't want to do the one thing that's going to secure jobs for workers, that's going to guarantee sustainability for the airline. And we hope that we will find one another in our discussions tomorrow.
All right, so thank you, Pagamile. Pagamile saying that they welcome the intervention from the CCMA regarding negotiating what they could between the airlines going forward. Now, let's speak to Zibayoni Mugambi from South African Cabin Crew Association. Now, we heard that they welcome the intervention from the CCMA. Now, what is SACA saying about that? And then also, would your demands change? Would you be willing to meet the airline halfway?
I mean, South African Cabin Crew and Numsa are exactly on the same page about every single thing that we're doing on this particular issue and in the workplace. As far as listing yesterday, interventions that could actually help fund the increase. On top of that, also save this airline long term in terms of putting money back into the coffers of South African Airways. So we believe if all parties are reasonable, and obviously we hope the shareholder can come to the party and also come and sit and in this mediation and hopefully find solutions. We're always open to that, yes.
Thank you so much, Zazi Zibayoni Mugambi from SACA there. Of course, we know that yesterday the negotiations didn't go well. Hence, the strike continued. And also, of course, we know that with the CCMA meeting, with the CCMA tomorrow to find a way forward. But of course, Mpho, the situation, the problem is not only about the wages, as Paramile says, it's about the outsourcing of different services. Yesterday, they mentioned that certain companies that South African Airways has outsourced to actually have inflated the prices. However, if it was insourced from within South African Airways, they would be able to make money from that instead of retrenching workers to save the 17 million rands that they're trying to save.
Sipha, just take us into your atmosphere. I can see that there's a high police presence behind you. Just take us in so we can see what's happening there as we speak.
Well, let me just take you through. As you said that there is police presence behind me. Of course, police are trying to monitor the situation. But now I'm going to ask Lesego to show you where majority of the members, the SACA and Numsa members, are gathered here. Just to see, it's quite a large number of people. As you know, that 3,000 people are expected to be here today. 3,000 workforce that is out from South African Airways, leaving them rather crippled, of course, and without able to do the job that they're supposed to do. Hence the cancellation of price of the tickets, and also refunding some people of their tickets. But it's also to say that when we spoke to the couple, Marina and Thomas, who's from Austria, they did say that this inconvenience is not only just about money, but also time, because they have to stay an extra day now. Even if South African Airways will be assisting some of the passengers with overnight accommodation for tonight, but that is not the real problem. The real problem is that some of them have to catch connecting flights to wherever they're going, meaning that they'll get left behind, and that's a delay in time. Some of them are on business trips, which is why this is very important. And of course, now we're seeing that this is definitely the mother of all strikes.
Let's leave it there. Thank you so much for that update. Our reporter Sipha Kema just keeping an eye on the developments there around this strike action launched by employees at SAA.